Long ago, in a land of high mountains and deep forests, where winter ruled more months than summer ever dared, a poor woodcutter lived with his wife and their many children. Their cottage stood at the forest's edge, battered by wind, bowed under snow, and patched with whatever the family could find. They worked until their hands split. Still the cupboard stayed thin. Bread was thinner, firewood was scarcer still, and when night came early, it stayed a long time. Of all their children, the youngest daughter was the gentlest. Her name was Lina. She was not the strongest. She was not the loudest, but she carried a quiet courage that did not need to be seen to be real. She rose before dawn to help her mother. She carried water with fingers numb from cold. She soothed her younger brothers when the hunger made them sharp and restless. And sometimes, when the house finally fell quiet, she would stand at the door and gaze beyond the tree line, as if the dark woods were whispering a secret meant only for her. One winter night, when the cold was sharp enough to crack the beams, there came a knock at the door. Not a timid knock, a heavy knock, as if the night itself had rapped on the wood. The woodcutter rose uneasily and opened it. A great white bear filled the doorway, enormous, its fur pale as moonlit snow, its breath steaming like smoke from a hidden fire. Its eyes were dark and knowing, as if they had watched this family for a long time. "Good man," the bear said, and its voice was calm, not cruel. "I know your hardship. If you will give me your youngest daughter to come and live with me, I will make you rich beyond your needs." Fear struck the room like a gust through an open window. The woodcutter staggered back. His wife cried out. The children huddled together. "No," the woodcutter said, his voice shaking. "I would rather starve." The bear lowered its head. "Think on it. I will return." And it vanished into the snowy dark as silently as it had come. Days passed. Hunger did not loosen its grip. The woodcutter tried to forget the bear's words, but they returned whenever he saw his children's hollow cheeks, whenever he heard his wife's quiet sobbing in the night. When the bear came again, it repeated its offer. Again, the parents refused. But on the third visit, Lina stepped forward. "Father," she said softly, "ask the bear what kind of life I would have." The bear's great head turned toward her. "You will know warmth, good food, and no harm. You will lack for nothing." There was no joy in what followed, only necessity, only sorrow. The family wept and prayed until their throats ached. And at last, Lina lifted her chin, trembling but steady. "I will go," she said. "Perhaps it will be for the best." The bear knelt. Lina climbed onto its back, her hands gripping thick fur that felt like winter itself. The woodcutter could not look at her. Her mother clutched her own arms, as if holding herself together. The children called her name, like it might pull her back. But the bear turned toward the forest, and Lina, looking once over her shoulder, saw their little house growing small behind a curtain of snow. They traveled far, farther than Lina had ever imagined a person could travel, through pine forests that swallowed sound, across frozen rivers that sang beneath their ice, over ridges where the wind cut like blades, and then, when darkness pressed close, a glow appeared ahead, warm as a promise. A castle rose from the night. Its windows shone like stars. Its doors opened of their own accord. Inside, the air was soft and warm, scented with bread and smoke from clean burning fires. Servants moved without being seen. A chair slid out for her. A cloak was lifted from her shoulders, by invisible hands. A bath was drawn, a table filled. Everything she had never dared want was placed before her like it had been waiting all along. Yet when night came, something always remained missing. Darkness fell completely, thick and absolute. And someone came to her bedside. A man's voice spoke kindly from the dark. "Do not be afraid." Hands gentle and careful guided her into the bed. He lay beside her, close enough that she felt warmth and breath, close enough that loneliness had no room to sit between them. But she could not see him, not even the faintest shape. Fear lived in her at first, small and sharp. Then it softened. Trust replaced it, slow and patient. Trust grew into affection, the kind that forms when a heart is listened to in the dark. Days became weeks. Weeks became something like months. Lina lived in comfort, yet always with the same mystery at night. And still, she did not feel harmed. She did not feel trapped. She felt chosen in a way she could not explain. At last, a longing rose in her like a tide. She asked to visit her family. The unseen man agreed, but his voice carried a warning, quiet and heavy. "Do not listen to fear, and whatever you do, do not try to see me." The castle's doors opened again. Lina returned home, dressed in fine cloth, cheeks fuller, eyes brighter. Her family wept with relief. They held her as if she might vanish. But her mother's gaze searched her, uneasy. "A man who hides his face," her mother whispered, "must be hiding something terrible. Light a candle while he sleeps. See what you have married." Lina resisted. She spoke of kindness, of gentleness, of a voice that never lied. But doubt is a seed that grows in silence. When she returned to the castle, the warmth welcomed her, and the darkness came as always. The man's hands were gentle. His voice was soft. He fell asleep beside her. Lina lay awake, listening to her own heart. Then, with shaking fingers, she slid from the bed and found a candle. She struck a spark. A flame caught. Light bloomed in the room like a forbidden sunrise. And by its glow, she saw him, not a monster, not a beast, a prince, young and beautiful, beyond imagining, as if carved from dawn and sorrow. For one breath, Lina forgot how to move. Her hand trembled. Hot wax spilled from the candle and struck his chest. The prince jerked awake. His eyes opened wide, not with anger, but with despair so deep it hollowed the air. "You have betrayed me," he said, his voice breaking. "Had you waited 1 year, I would have been free. A troll hag enchanted me, forcing me to wear the shape of a bear by day, returning to human form only at night. Now the spell has been broken wrongly. I must go to her castle and marry her daughter, east of the sun and west of the moon, farther than any human has ever traveled." The candlelight trembled. The room seemed to lean away, and then the castle vanished. Walls, warmth, servants, all gone in a blink. Lina stood alone in a barren wilderness, under a sky like iron. Snow drifted across empty ground. No path, no light, only wind. She fell to her knees and wept until her tears froze on her cheeks. Then she rose. "I will find him," she said to the cold. And the cold did not answer, but it did not stop her either. She walked through forests where branches clawed at the sky, through valleys drowned in shadow, over mountains where the wind screamed like a living thing. Her feet bled, her cloak froze stiff. Still she walked. At last, she met an old woman beneath a twisted pine. small as a crow against the whiteness. The woman's eyes were sharp as needles. "I know where you are going," she said, "but I cannot tell you the way." She placed a golden apple in Lina's hands. "Perhaps this will help you." Lina thanked her and went on. Farther still, beside a frozen river, a second old woman gave her a golden carding cone. And on a lonely hill where the clouds dragged low, a third old woman gave her a golden spinning wheel. None of them knew the road to the place beyond the world, so Lina kept walking until the air itself felt strange, as if it were turning into something older. And then she reached the winds. The north wind came first, roaring and proud. It could not carry her. The west wind followed, sighing through the rocks. It had never been to that place. But the east wind arrived like a force from the beginning of time, fierce and ancient. It paused before Lina, as if tasting her courage. "I have been there once," it said. "Climb onto my back." The wind lifted her, not as hands lift, as storms lift, higher than mountains, beyond oceans, past the edges of maps. The world below became a blur of white and dark, then nothing at all. At last, the east wind descended before a black castle, heavy as a threat against the empty sky. Inside, trolls gathered, their laughter echoed like stones, falling in a well. Lina stepped through halls that felt wrong, where shadows clung too tightly to corners. And there, at last, she saw him. The prince sat beside the troll princess, his posture straight, his face pale, his eyes dulled, as if sleep still held him, even while awake. Lina's throat tightened. She did not scream. She did not run. She walked forward and held out the golden apple. "One night beside him," she said. The troll princess's eyes gleamed. Agreed. That night, Lina sat by the prince, whispering his name into the dark. But he slept under a spell, unmoving. The second night, Lina traded the golden carding cone. Again, she begged him to wake. Again, he did not stir. On the third night, she offered the golden spinning wheel. She sat close, and the helplessness broke her. Tears fell onto his hand, one tear, then another, and then he moved. His fingers twitched as if finding the world again. His eyes opened. They met hers. Recognition flashed like lightning in a winter sky. "Lina," he breathed, and the sound of her name was like a door thrown wide. But the trolls heard. They surged into the room, snarling, raging, their hate shaking the walls. "No," they cried, a test for the bride. Whoever can wash the stain from the prince's shirt shall have him." The troll princess seized the shirt and scrubbed with furious hands. She clawed at the cloth until it tore. The stain remained, dark as a curse. Then Lina took the shirt. She held it gently, as if it were something living. She dipped it into clear water. The stain vanished, as though it had never been. A hush fell. Then the trolls screamed. The air cracked. The curse that held the castle shuddered and split. The troll princess howled as the spell unraveled around her. The walls fractured. The floors buckled. The dark castle began to collapse like a rotten tree finally falling. Lina grabbed the prince's hand. They ran. They burst into open sky as stone and shadow crumbled behind them. And when the dust cleared, the world felt wide again. The prince drew in a breath as if breathing for the first time. He looked at Lina, not as a dream, not as a secret, but as truth. Together, They returned to the far land of mountains and forests, to the cottage at the edge of the trees, and when the woodcutter opened his door, he saw his daughter standing there, no longer lost, no longer alone. Warmth followed her in, light followed her in, and the winter that had ruled their lives finally loosened its grip. Lina and the prince lived free. They lived wealthy enough to never fear hunger again. But more than that, they lived with the kind of happiness that is earned. The kind that survives darkness. The kind that chooses and is chosen back.